going on, guys? Welcome back to the Unfleshed podcast. This is episode 17, and today we're bringing in Mattern.
Started writing probably about 2.5 years ago, and that seems like a short period of time. I co-author books with my adult children, and I also write on my own. And guess what I have here?
Oh boy.
I have a copy of something I've been reading.
Oh, is that Unfleshed?
It is Unfleshed.
Oh, yes it is, the very one.
Wow.
And I'm in love with the heroine, Kimberly, and you had me at, she had her initials carved into her cleaver. You had me, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so good. Any heroine that has her own initials carved into a meat cleaver, yes, I'm on it.
Oh, I appreciate that.
That's awesome. You're actually the first person we've interviewed that actually has one of our books.
Yeah, and was able
So
to.
I do my homework, and the other thing is I am going to pimp you because we have a book page, and this is very unusual for a book page on Amazon. We have a book page that's almost 16K that has a reach on weekends, sometimes up to 50K. So I'm going to be like singing your praises because you have a new fan.
Awesome.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But this is about you, though, and it's hard to get away from that because what you just said really thrilled me, and I'm sure
well,
it would teach you.
Want to know another thrill? I read, you know how Amazon lets you read the very beginning of like any book, right? Look inside feature. And so I looked at Grimm and I went, oh my God, I'm so there.
Oh, wow.
So I have another one lined up. I like to read a lot of indies. I like to read, I have 2 of my books with, this is back on me, so you'll be happy. I have 2 of my books, my horror books, with Book Trope publishers under their Forsaken imprint. Straying House and also Shock of Night are #1 bestseller. And so we have a group that we call the Forsaken Hooligans. And it's a bunch of horror authors, and we love to get together and just, shoot the bull and get weird with each other and share ideas. So it's a fun thing.
So you've come. So it sounds like to me that you've come a very great distance in a very short amount of time. When did you decide that you said? Correct me if I'm wrong. You said you started writing about 2.5 years ago.
Right.
So like, did you just decide one day to just this is what I want to do and I'm gonna do it, or?
No, I was a mental health professional for almost 20 years, which gave me a great background to write some of these stories. And, there's nothing more, there's a lot of horror and sci-fi in mental health, okay? And, so I got laid off. I got laid off. So finally, I'd been trying to write and finish things for years, and I had notebooks full of outlines and everything. And suddenly I had some time, and I went, oh my God, I got to go for it, because I know you guys know, because you are writers, that your characters will freaking haunt you. In other words, they won't let you have a life unless you give them some care and attention. So that's what happened. So I kind of dove in with both feet because I finally had some time.
Awesome.
Wow. Jesus, it sounds like you're doing pretty damn well. So I applaud you. I think that's great. Can you, without giving too much away? I'm sorry, I'm really in tune with her, TJ. You're chomping at the bit to get a question in. I do know just a little bit of your full moon. That is kind of, from what I've gathered, one of your bigger books. If you know what I mean.
Oh, bigger series.
Yes.
bigger series in general, yeah. But
Right. That was the first book I wrote was Full Moon Series World of Asglen, which is the first one, and the original title was The Full Moon of Charlie Rabbit. And I think it's a fairly interesting story how it started. I was reading Anne Rice. I'm a big Anne Rice fan.
me too.
And and I have an adult. I have 3 children. 2 of them write with me. One is an adult special needs person, right? So I looked at my son one day and I thought, I wonder if Jeffrey got bitten by a vampire, if he'd become normal or even super able. And so that started the premise of the first book. It's about a young adult special needs person that lives with his widowed mother. Hello. Life imitates art. And in the American Midwest, and they go to a medieval fair one day, and they meet 3 eclectic young people, Fresenda and her fraternal twin brothers, Cass and Lux, and become friends. And then Charlie starts to show exponential changes, like he's coordinated all of a sudden, and he can read. He taught himself to read, and all of this. And that's how the first book in the series started. And actually, I only started out to write 1 book. I thought, oh my God, I can write a book, right? and then now I'm on book 5 of Full Moon series. and what's really neat, how I started writing with my kids was my daughter JC Estel. We were talking on the phone, and she said, well, I'm writing a book. What are you doing? I'm writing a book. And I said, well, I'm writing a book. And she said, well, I'm writing about vampires. And I said, well, I'm writing about vampires. And so she asked me about my book and the character's name, and I asked her about hers. And her characters show up in book 2, Congregation of Darkness, of Full Moon series.
Wow, very unique. Wow, so you essentially took your son, if you will, and that's kind of what spearheaded it all for you, and said, well, I think that's fascinating. I think that's awesome that you triggered that part of your mind to say, you know what, I do wonder what would happen, or how I can build this character around that. I think that's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, you know yourself that writers think weird. So I have weird thoughts like that all the time, like, what if Jeffrey got bitten by a vampire? Damn, I wish he would. You know? So, that's kind of the way we roll. My youngest son, Marcus Mattern, he's M. Mattern, I brought him in. He wanted to get in on books 3 and 4. A Full Moon series, because it becomes very dystopic and apocalyptic at that point with the humans and the vampires and what's happening on Earth. And so we found that we wrote really well together, and we also wrote Andy of the Damned, which is one of my favorites. It's a very short, it's like a 150-page read, but it's very humorous, and it's kind of a coming-of-age story of this gypsy kid. And he finds out on his 17th birthday that he's cursed, and the rest of it goes from there. But it's really fun. You know how you write the kind of books? I'm sure you gentlemen can relate to this. You write the kind of books you wish you could find, only you can't ever quite find them. And that's kind of how, why.
Yeah, that's a good positive, and that's a good thing, is because you do want to go out there and reach out and give something, complete difference of what the norm is. Me and TJ have this talk all the time about zombies and erotica. There's only so much you can do with zombies and erotica. And I will say, since we've started this podcast, speaking with other authors just like yourself, that's what I like to hear, though, is how can you already wiped a question out for me. I was going to ask you, well, what separates you from other people that write about vampires. Well, you already nailed that on the head, so which is fantastic.
You know, one of the biggest compliments that we get is this is a unique and fresh take on vampires. It is. It starts from a different place, and I think as it evolves, I think the characters are very relatable, and there's still gore, and there's still some horror, because there has to be. That's what, in fact, I think horror, even though it's not the top-selling genre, I bet you guys know what it is, romance and erotica, but it's not the top-selling genre, but it's about, I think, fourth, but I think it's the most important because what other than horror, and fear, what gives us such a visceral reaction when we read it, right? I mean, nobody reads a romance or an erotica and stays up all night and has to sleep with the lights on, right?
Yeah.
I think horror trumps. I think horror trumps every time. So, I didn't really, if you had asked me when I started writing, do you think you'll write horror? I probably would have said, probably not so much. And then it's just kind of segued and evolved naturally. So.
Awesome.
Okay.
And I think that's awesome. I mean, how many books do you have out there now?
We have 13, and they're not all books. You know how there's a trend nowadays to call, works even, I'm sure you've seen it on Amazon, there's like some 15-page things,
Yeah.
and people are calling them all books. It's not a book to me, but we have two are in the category of, I would say, more like short stories, and then we have some novellas and some other works. Most of them are books, 250 pages or more. Some of them, like Strayden House. My Strayden House is like 400 pages, and we just finished Forest of Bleeding Trees, and it's like the longest one yet. It's about a country boy in the mysterious mountains and bogs of West Virginia. And have you ever been to West Virginia?
I have.
Okay, it's a pretty creepy place, kind of.
Yeah, there's
it's
definitely parts.
It's got quite the atmosphere. So, our kind of blurb about the book is somewhere in the mysterious mountains and bogs of West Virginia, a supernatural turf war is about to begin. And we kind of run with that. But can I give a shout out to a couple of people?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to shout out to J.C. Astall and M. Mattern, my co-writers. I love you. And also my Forsaken Hooligan, Casey Harper. She's an excellent horror writer. And so is S.E. Rise and J.G. Clay and Duncan Ralston and Thomas S. Flowers III. And Alan Broadstone, Christopher Alan Broadstone, sorry, and Sherry Lewis, I love you. Mwah.
Wow, I applaud you for, gosh dang, you're just a little young lady that's on fire, aren't you? Look at you.
Well, I'm not so young. See, that's the good thing about getting older. You don't care what anybody thinks.
Well, that's awesome.
No, you just kind of go for everything. And I was at Thriller Fest, pitching books, right? There's this great thing that happens once yearly in New York City called Thriller Fest. Everybody should go that writes horror because you get to pitch to real New York City literary agents face to face. Okay, that's an opportunity nobody gets, right? And we were up there, and I was talking to my youngest son that I embarrass him frequently and often and try to do it on a regular basis. and I told him my internal editor committed suicide like 7 years ago. So, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm so happy I got laid off, I can't tell you.
since you're such a chipper person and I'm on a roll with you, I like your mindset and your outlook on everything.
Well, I admire you guys. Kisses, because you have some real unique, basic elements, and your voice when you're writing, I love it, and I love the way it's balls to the wall, full speed ahead. Do you know what I mean? There are no dull parts. I hate books with dull parts. You know, I think that's one reason why I tend to read horror, because I want to be entertained like boom, boom, boom. You know, it's got to really hit me between the eyes. And so I really enjoy you guys. And if it wasn't for your having me on your show, I never would have discovered you.
Well, we're beyond ourselves on having you on our show.
So happy.
Now, as you, or maybe you don't know, I always do a segment called Shout It Out, okay? It's not a question, it is a topic. And you just respond on that topic however you want to. Okay. So, I'm going to give it to you now, and it is bar stools.
Bar stools. I fell off one once, no, more than once. I think that they're very utilitarian. I could see a horror story starting in a bar, where somebody comes in and sits down and they're not quite right, and our main character looks over and they can tell they're not quite right. Ooh! And there's a part it reminds me of a part in Stratton House, where the heroine Kid is sitting on a bar stool, and a stranger named Duff does come up to her and ask her to dance, and turns out she thinks he may have slipped something in her drink, and turns out to be kind of a demonic character. So I thought that was a nice twist in the story. But the interesting thing was, after he left and she passes out and stuff and has to be carried to the car, nobody else saw her with him. So that's my free association with Barstool. But I like that.
Awesome. That was good. That was awesome.
That was like some improv right there.
Yeah.
Well, I picked the character Duff's name because it actually means dark in Welsh.
Okay.
Oh, so you do a lot of research then, do you, on your writing or your
You have to, like, I'll give you an example of a screw-up of mine, okay, with my editor at Book Trope. Shock of Night, which has to do with this young girl, Hallie, who has been in and out of mental institutions since the age of 8. Anyway, she has ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, and they used to call it electric shock therapy. And they give her too much voltage, and she actually she does. She dies on the table. But when I had her, she goes through this long adventure, and you're not sure whether it was all in her mind or it's real, because, of course, she's crazy because she sees things. And when she's coming out of the coma, I had her eating pureed food. Well, the editor tore me a new one, because people coming out of comas can't eat even pureed food. I didn't know that, okay? Because I never been up close with that situation. So, you've got to do your research, and I research I do a lot of research with places, and I researched the Goth language for book 2 of Full Moon series, Congregation of Darkness, because they're these cave dwellers. They call them hybrid vampires, and they speak Goth. And Goth is kind of a lost language. There's only 81 words left in the Goth language, and I used a lot of them. I had the characters talk to each other using real Goth language, which I thought was, what research does it lends an air of authenticity to whatever you're writing. And, some stories aren't for that. You don't need research, right? It just comes to you and the storyline and the character, and it's something you're familiar with. But if I would recommend, because readers really do fact check on you. If you're going to have an exotic locale or something, you need to know what you're writing about. I think it's really important.
Oh, definitely. And I wrote my Devil Day series and parts in the mortuary, and I Googled and Googled and Googled, and I could not find names of a lot of those tools that they used, and actually had to call a mortuary. And they kind of laughed at me about the situation, but they were like, there really is no name for those tools, but this is what we call them. So, I was able to, go off of them to, bring it in to where there was more reality to that.
That is outstanding because, it's kind of like it's beyond just knowing the technical name of something. It's like you're an insider. If you know what they call them, what the people that actually do it call them, then it gives you an edge, as far as sounding authentic and drawing the reader in. I think things like that really involve the reader, because any reader will tell you their best experience is to get lost in your book in the same fashion that you get lost in it when you're writing it, right? Don't you just zone out?
Oh, definitely. Whenever I write, it's pretty much like a movie just playing in my head.
Yes. And like you're the willing scribe that has to get it all down, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's also, I find writing, anyways, characters are so crucial to it. I feel like when I'm writing my main characters, especially that I actually, Julie Swanson, one of my main characters in my very first novel I wrote, I actually cried. I'm not ashamed to say it, and TJ may not even know it himself, but I actually did. I cried. It wasn't like a big boo-hoo. It wasn't like a, oh, but I had a tear run down my damn face, because I hated to have to do what I did.
That's important because what you were writing got that physical reaction, right?
Oh yeah.
Physical and emotional.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Now I gotta read that. Darn it! My reading's getting really long. I'm telling you.
Well, because that was that Stanley Swanson Breed of a Werewolf, and that's actually what pulled me into his writing style in general, and to where our collaboration ever began. I really like the way that he was able to bring in his characters. It was something that I felt was pretty amazing, and honestly, I haven't read everybody that's out there, and I almost think that would be an impossible task, but it was definitely the best approach that I had seen for that, and so we got together and we wrote the Obsessed with the Kill special edition, and I couldn't even have pictured it going any better. Quite honestly.
Well, I appreciate that, TJ. And you being your little special vampire writer, I want you to shoot me off a couple of links when this is all said and done, and you'll have a chance at the end of this podcast to shout out your links and where we can find your stuff. But I would definitely like a personal link from you to me or what have you. Oh, I guess I can just go on Amazon. Never mind. It doesn't matter.
They did tell you that I'm a techno dork, right? If you ask me, I am so bad, guys. I'm remedial. I am counterintuitive with everything with tech. My godson had to set this Skype thing up because I was like, clueless.
Well, actually, originally I talked to, I think her name's Ginger.
No, Ginger is my PA.
Yeah, she's the one that originally had hit us up about it.
Yeah, and a shout out to Ginger Crumb and Ginger Marie, and a shout out to Pamela Sims, Pamalicious, Gingerific, and those are the ladies that keep me on track and manage a lot of our pages. We're having like a huge event right now. It's called the Mystic Moon Paragasmic Phenomenon, and it's on Facebook. Just remember Mystic Moon and it'll pop up. But it's chock full, and you guys have to be in the next big author thing we have, seriously.
Oh, definitely.
Because
and actually, I've been popping in and out of that one.
Reach, and I know that a lot of I don't understand writers thinking that they're all in competition, okay?
Yeah.
Because the readers out there are anxious for fresh material, A. B, I can't possibly write fast enough to give them all the books that they want to read. I mean, the readers we run into, these people read voraciously. They read like 10 books a month at least. And so it's just great to have the fresh energy all the time. So we always feature other authors. We always have events featuring excellent authors because I have a theory, and my theory is the cream doesn't rise to the top. In other words, probably some of the best writing you'll ever see may not even make it on Amazon, okay? So I think I love the idea of pools of hidden talent being exposed. So we always do author events. So you guys are signed up whether you want to be or not. How about that?
Bless you. So you are more or less a firm believer then, kind of to let your stuff, I won't say stuff because it's work, it's art. That's how I look at it. Right?
Oh yeah, stop.
So well, TJ's always like, well, I gotta go write my shit. I'm like, dude, it's art. I mean, God, come on. But you do believe kind of somewhat to let your books marinate a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I'm like, okay, one of my kids told me I'm like a really bad mother cat because I'll have my books like it's a litter, and I'll do it like really fast. I'll be totally into it. I'll hit it hard, and then I'll be like, done. And it's not really done. You know what I mean? You always have to have tweaks. I mean, I've done things like call my sister. One of my characters, he physically resembled my sister's ex-boyfriend. So guess how I screwed up? I put his name as my sister's ex-boyfriend's name in it. I do stuff like that all the time. And so I'm glad I have co-writers that can catch things like that, Or the best, my favorite was when I wrote Stryden House. I finished and I went, I'm finished. You know how you finish a book? And then you went, you're kind of going, And then all of a sudden a little voice in my brain said, you left one of the characters lost in that house. And all the other characters acted like he just disappeared and that was fine. I really did that. So I went, oh my God. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to go to sleep, but I couldn't leave the character lost, right? He never showed up. So I did the best I could, and thank God, my co-writer, my son, Marcus Mattern, rewrote like that part of the book so that I didn't have to go back and do it, because that's kind of a quirk of mine, I hate to go back, right? I just like to go forward. So anyway, it turned out just great. I love collaborations. Do you guys like writing with someone else?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much what I do these days. Actually, Unfleshed was my 35th release. And,
oh my gosh!
Yeah, and most of them were kind of standalone books, but I don't know. I've done a lot of anthologies with other authors, and Actually, we brought in. It was a collaboration, and we brought in 5 different authors, and it was different. I'll say that it was definitely different. But yeah, I don't know, Unfleshed and then the Obsessed with the Kill Special Edition. Me and him did together, and then actually I write my Grin series with my wife. So.
I know that, and she was a prodigy.
Oh yeah, well she's got some standalone books as well.
I saw that. I saw that. Podcast where any 15-year-old that writes erotica, I think it's accepted by Playboy. Hello, I want to meet her.
Well,
that's incredible.
She had to lie about that. She had to tell him that she was 18 at the time, but
of course she did. But oh my gosh, I was like impressed as hell, you know. And I just thought that was really cool, and you guys were a cool couple. But I really one thing that really grabbed me about the Grimm thing was Grimm. Is it Grin or Grimm?
It's Grin.
Okay. It was the character that you start out with that I read in the blurb, you know. Where did you get the idea for that character?
For Bartholomew?
Yeah.
Bartholomew is basically the human form long before he turns to monster and turns into Grin. And, well, for one, this actually started out as a short stories. So I started writing these short stories of Grin, and actually I had someone that hit me up, and they were talking to me about Wes Craven and how he was kind of looking for like new age monsters to bring to the screen, and at the time I really didn't have anything to really go with, so I kind of sat down one day and I really started thinking about it, and Grin's what I came up with. And after 4 short stories, actually it was only going to be the 3. And then I had someone else that hit me up and was like, okay, like I want the craziest thing that you can do with Grin, and I want it in my anthology. So then I turned around and made a 4th Grin. And then I had, such high response from everybody from it, because I do have it to where you can buy it on Kindle, but I was actually having it for free in my notes on my author page. Because I mean, it is a short story, so I didn't really feel like going through the whole sale process of that. Well, I had such a response for it, and everybody wanted to know like where he came from, so I decided to kind of do a book series. The first book,
Awesome.
well, the first book's the one that's released out right now. That one's the A Monster is Born, and that's what it is. It goes through his adulthood, or well, I mean his human form all the way up till him dying. Basically becoming an angel, and kind of how that got twisted around and became pretty much the demon he is today. So, as a matter of fact, even like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, it's an author T.J. Wake shirt, but it's one of the Grin formats of that. But we're actually about to release out book 2 of that, and he's already the monster at that point. So,
where do I get a shirt on your page?
I use Teespring a lot for most of my things. I usually don't put them up on my author page so much, but I usually have everything that I do through my website, including like some of the T-shirts that was done for like the Unfleshed book. There was the Unfleshed T-shirt, and then we had the Flesh Face T-shirt and the Miss Mortis T-shirt. So, and there was a bunch more that was on there, but that's typically what I use is Teespring.
Awesome.
So.
Hey, can I pimp myself for a minute? We have a full moon series. It's called Full Moon Series on Facebook, and anybody that listens to this that would like a copy of one of our books or any of our books or book 1 is a Full Moon Series, if you private message the page, I'll make that happen. I'll hook you up. And we like to give away stories too. So tonight I'm going to be in an event called the Season of Dying. And if you look up Season of Dying event, it's on Facebook and it has a lot of authors, a lot of the horror hooligans, with Book Trope under the Forsaken imprint, and I'm on at 9 p.m., and all of us wrote something. Some people wrote horror poetry. Some people wrote a horror short story. I wrote a short story called Rice Bell. It's got zombies in it, and so anybody that wanted to look us up tonight, I'll have it plastered all over my personal page. I'm Patricia Nett on Facebook, but never call me that to my face. That's my slave name. I like P. Mattern. I just like an initial,
Amen. Well,
I just like an initial. That's
every
why.
time I'm getting ready to ask you a question, you're answering it. I was going to ask, have you worked on an anthology? You just answered that. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. I was in one last spring called, Wickedly Exotic Spring Erotic Wonderland, okay? It had a lot of talented authors, T.T. Macias, T.M. Reed, I think her name is pronounced, Ginger Marie, who writes erotica, a lot of talented female, Jenna Galacki, and a lot of very talented authors in it. I wrote something called 49 Shades of Vampire, which was actually a parody of a certain book. Just add one to it, 49 Shades. Hello? And anyway, I kind of spoofed it. And I think it was funny. It has some gross parts. So that's an anthology I've been in. We have a mystical, magical something. They always give these really long titles that are almost tongue twisters to me that I can't remember. But that's coming up soon. That's on there for pre-order. And, I want to have a shout out to Dane Cobain and Maddie Holiday Von Stark. She wrote The Widow's Game, which is an excellent book that's out now. And Jesse James of Book Trope, he's awesome. And Jessica Anhalt, she's wonderful too. But all these people are associated with the publisher Book Trope, and they're just a great organization, and they're very supportive. But they put out e-zines. They have some e-zines that are really unique. I want to send you guys like some links and some free zines and stuff. I'm going to be in. I submitted a couple of stories. One is Cassandra Dane, who is head of their Edge and Entice imprint. We wrote a story, kind of a crossover story for her called, what was it? Holiday. And then I wrote one that I submitted recently called Alien Lullaby for the Forsaken One magazine. They have Girls Rock Horror Harder and a couple other really good, best-selling e-zines on the market in horror. So anybody that's interested in really good reads should read you guys first, of course, and then look into these. These are great reads. We all love a great read, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How are you inspired for your book?
well, this is a question for you. These are questions for you. This is a podcast for you. You cannot turn around and just start asking us questions.
The consequence wouldn't know, right?
Well, I tell you what, I'll answer your question. I'm inspired by everything. I'm a people watcher. I really am. If I go to a restaurant anywhere, I people watch. And I even animals, a squirrel running down, trying to get an acorn and run back up, my dog staring at that same squirrel, like, what the hell are you doing? This is my property. You know, I mean, no matter what it is, you know, like I pay attention to a little bit of everything. So,
I think, I mean, you're making a point that inspiration is all around us, and I really, really believe that also. How about you, S.K. Ballinger? I like your name. I like both of y'all's names.
Well,
Thank you.
I love this interview with you because you're so open and you really care about those that have you've worked with or just your vision on writing in general. I think is just I'm chomping at the bit to get one of the full moon book. I'm not gonna lie. I've got to wait till maybe Friday.
God! I would be so freaking honored for you guys to read me because I'm going to read the hell out of you. I promise.
I'm just saying. I'm more vampire werewolf type dude. Anyways, I've gotten into horror because my inspiration is TJ. If you really want,
Look at that.
No, it's not a bromance. It's not a bromance. That's what his wife calls it all the time. My wife calls it too. Bromance? No.
Yeah.
But he opened up my eyes to a whole new level. It's like listening to you talk about, your son, putting him into the book, whatever, and just utilizing that and making something new, refreshing. I mean, shit. I think
he actually, my handicapped son, handicapable, gotta be CC here, but he's actually a character in Strident House. Strident House?
Oh.
And he's a character, Luke Walker, because he's the older brother of these two siblings. Oh, you know what? I bet you would like Full Moon series because remember I was telling you about Castor and Pollux, Cass and Lux Noble, the younger brothers of Fresenda. Guess what I based their characters on? What inspired me? I won't say based. That's illegal. I was inspired by the two guys brothers in Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Now, being of the female persuasion, I don't like tons and tons of gore and I like it kind of, but I watch it like with my hands over my eyes and stuff. But I mean, even though it was violent, I love those movies because I love that interaction between the two brothers. You know what I mean? How they acted like they were good-hearted and they were dedicated and they were devoted, but they acted like 12-year-olds half the time and fought a lot. I love that kind of dynamic.
Well, I gotta ask you, since you're a huge Anne Rice fan, who do you think played Lestat better in Interview with the Vampire or Queen of the Damned?
Okay, well, this has to do with just my personal quirks and preferences, but I like Queen of the Damned.
Hey, me too.
I mean, I just thought listen, if I could ever write a book that was so quotable, do you know what I mean? There's so much, her characters say so many things that can be taken out of the book, taken out of the situation, have nothing to do with vampires, but are actually commentary about the human condition or life or the universe, she is like 20 layers of deep,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I should only aspire to be that deep. But that's a hands down thing for me. That is a hands down thing for me.
Interview the vampire! God!
Well, I respect Interview with the Vampire.
New Age.
Interview with the Vampire, I mean, you always got to respect because that was the first thing that ever got picked up by her. But I still say Queen of the Damned turned out way better.
You know what inspired Anne Rice? I wouldn't say inspired. Correction. You know the little gal that played an Interview with the Vampire? She put that in placement of her daughter who she had lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leukemia wasn't it leukemia or something?
Yeah, I believe it was
Yeah.
leukemia. Yeah. I mean, how kick-ass is that?
That is, no, that did not escape my notice because everything is I mean, you know, I don't want to get too maudlin, but everything that happens in life has a part in everything else that happens, and a lot of it is like a catalyst, and things that I have a friend, I got to give a shout out. She is in all my books. When I have a dedication in my book, Raven Wolf 2, who is a shaman, a clairvoyant, and also my BFF. She always tells me everything contains its opposite. Each thing contains its opposite. And she has been so instrumental in encouraging me to kind of go for it because why not? You know, why not? And if you're a writer, if you're seriously a writer, then you don't have a choice. I'm sure you gentlemen agree. You do not have a choice.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody said, if you love me, you'll stop writing tomorrow, wouldn't happen. Not a chance.
See, my philosophy, my motto is nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean, if you
That's
don't,
a big motto.
you know, if you don't go out there, you're, you know, hit or miss or nothing at all. It took over 20 years for Anne Rice, and I always say, I gotta stop talking. Almost every podcast we do, TJ, I gotta bring up the whole Anne Rice thing.
Yeah.
It almost took her like 20-some years before somebody picked up her book, her short story, and read it and made a movie.
Well, real quick, though, because we're running out of time in the podcast, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. This is online. Let me see. CreateSpace. That's also online. We should be in brick and mortar bookstores through Book Tropes. Are two that actually the one, because the one is too short for a book, actually. It's more like novella. But Dryden House is going to come out, and that should be in brick and mortar bookstores, which is, you know, kind of an upside of going with a publisher. You know, I fingers crossed because I think I mentioned Thriller Fest, which you guys need to go. You guys really need to go. I need to help you go. But Thriller Fest is in New York City once a year, and you get an opportunity to pitch to real New York literary agents. And right now, 3 of our books are being read. You know, now it's a slow process. You know what I mean? They don't get back to you and say, "Hallelujah, where have you been?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like in a pile of other people. They said, you know, it's a process. You send them 50 pages, and then if they want to see the whole manuscript, you go, wow, that's a gift in and of itself that they want to look at the whole manuscript, and it takes forever. But, you know, we do, you know, we should be in other venues, brick and mortar bookstores. Locally here I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, y'all. Yay!
Hey, Indiana! Oh!
Hey, we're gonna be doing a book tour right to y'all's neighbor in October. We'll be in Illinois.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm coming.
We'll
So
be
you
in
have to-
Naperville, Illinois.
You have to let me know, and I'll spread it all over my pages. I would love to meet you guys in person. That would be an honor.
Awesome.
But we, the Elderberry Tree House Shop here in Fort Wayne carry our physical books, which right now we have Andy of the Damned and Dryden House out. We've been, to tell you the truth, in this short amount of time, we've been writing so hard that we're like so behind in edits. You know what I mean? We have like 6 books in edits that aren't edited yet because it's such a slow process. And, you know, they should be out, but we're going to have, this is exciting. You wanted to read Full Moon Series. Well, World of Escalon should be out in like a physical book. I'm just so excited. to hold the first book of that series. That should be happening in towards the end of September. And so we'll have 3 in the local bookstores here. And can I kind of say something about people writing?
You can say whatever you want. This is your interview.
Okay. Well, I don't want to run over, but I really thank you. I appreciate that. But I just wanted to say, don't be intimidated by, I don't know if you guys spend much time online, but there's people always posting like, I wrote 40,000 words today. I think I have a lot of author friends. Don't pay it any attention because I call myself like a turtle because you'd be amazed if you write even 500 or 1,000 words a day, right? And you write consistently, you have a book before you know it. You can have a book in 3 months. You know what I mean? 2 months.
And to reiterate on that, it's one of the things that I believe in. I don't care if it's a sentence. I don't care if it's 3 chapters. You are doing something daily. That's how I do it anyways. Or take notes down, get home. You're doing something because you can get screwed.
Exactly. I read something where the guy said, even if you have a terrible day, if you just even write a word to stay connected to your story and your character, it's like magical. You know what I mean? It's important.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. So please, if you write every day that you can, because there will be days when none of us can write. Hurricanes, whatever. You know what I mean? But write every day and write consistently, and wonderful things happen. You can't plan everything, but these connections that like when I heard about this podcast, I got really excited because I just felt that was going to be like a very positive connection, and it is.
And I definitely would say it was very positive connected for us, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love this author. I mean, I love all authors. But I'm just saying, it's just every author that we have on the podcast always has some great outlook for the people who write and other authors, and I love that. I think that's why we wanted to start this podcast.
Well, I think it's excellent. I think you're the way for the future. I think everything's going to be podcast in the future, seriously. And publishing is in an interesting place. It's kind of in free fall because the major publishers don't have the market tied up anymore. Indies are coming on very, very strong, and also hybrid publishers, which is Book Trope. It was Entangled, but they got bought out. Spencer Hill and Sam Hain. There's a handful of hybrid publishers that are really, they're kind of a writer's community-oriented outfit that helps you get your word out there and kind of takes some of the angst out of it so that you can write more and not have to worry about marketing more, because it takes a lot of time. It can take more time than it would for you to write a book, right? To promote your last book or get an audience for it. So that's why we're all here. We're all connected to help each other, put our energy out there.
I fully agree.
I would love to have you on again sometime, give you a break, get you some more of your writing done and stuff, but I know for a fact that, I won't speak for TJ or what have you, but I think he would probably agree. We would love to have you on again. So,
oh, definitely.
Appreciate your time.
My great honor, namaste, and, just an absolute pleasure meeting you both, and, we're going to stay in touch. Done deal.
Yeah, friend me on Facebook.
Burn you to the ground, 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 burn you to the ground. ground, burn you